Good evening.
Good evening.
How's everybody doing tonight? It's a great night. Who's got a fantastic praise report?
I got another grandbaby on the way.
Another one?
I've already told you guys 10 times. I just like to say it.
Oh, okay. Another one?
My son got an operator pool for chicken guy.
For Chick-fil-A.
For Dordo, he can officially be a owner of a Chick-fil-A.
Pretty cool. Well, you?
I started my new job and it went so good. So awesome. I won't be able to go to church on this Sunday, next Sunday, but then after that I'm good. Just letting you guys know because of work.
Aw. Who else? Praise report. Okay, Joanne, let's go.
I don't know if I shared this already, but my youngest, Jonathan, who lives in Hawaii, is being sworn into the bar on Friday.
That's awesome.
Praise the Lord. He's already licensed in California, but he wants to practice. He lives in Hawaii.
I already shared it actually that I got to go up and see two of my sons. Are supposed to go to Reno. One son has a branch into Reno and San Jose, and Reno was having a storm, so he flew me into San Jose, which means I got to see another one of my sons. It's there. So we had a wonderful time praying, and they're looking for a church, and I mean just a big change from when I was last with them. So I'm so grateful, and I did not realize how much my third son, which is the one that actually flew me out there, he's so much like my husband. He is, I mean, I just felt the secure peace with him that I felt with my husband. So that was just really, really special. And they treated me, I mean, we went out and eat, and I went to Benihana's, never been there, watched them do all that fancy stuff. And it was wonderful. We just had a great time. It's still good.
Time for kids to spoil their mamas. Come on.
Yes.
Yep.
Speaking of that, I don't think I've talked about it, maybe a little bit. I am in a couple weeks going to go see all my kids together. Road trip, hanging out. It's cool. Everybody's excited. Nobody's arguing. My kids don't fight. It's so funny. All we do is we get together and we laugh, tell jokes, and it's a great time. So my daughter is in Idaho. My oldest and my youngest son live here, and my stepson is in Tucson. So my daughter's going to caravan down with her husband from Idaho, come through Vegas, pick us up. We're going to hop in our vehicle. We're going to caravan over to Tucson together. You know, yeah, it's going to be amazing. And my daughter's bringing all of her kids. And yeah, it's going to be a great time.
Let's go.
Let's go. All right. Well, we burned off 5 minutes of Pastor Fred's time.
Let's go.
And let's resolve some conflict. Are you ready, Pastor Fred?
Well, family, good evening. As always, it's a pleasure and honor to serve the people of God through the teaching ministry of the Word of Jesus Christ. We went last week into this, and for all of you who didn't make it last week and all of you who are here today, I wanted to tell you that this is probably, I think, one of the key components of the Christian life, I think, that is often very much missing because it actually requires something from you. Sometimes Christianity in Western civilization can be relatively easy because we tend to live a Christianity in Western society in a Ned Flanders kind of way.
Okay.
If you don't know who Ned Flanders is, he's a character from The Simpsons, and they make him like super aloof and just kind of ditzy, and he's always happy, and he's like kind of, yeah, he's just like that. And quite frankly, we all know that that's not real life, right? As much as we try to do it that way. And then I went into a really, and I'm doing this as a preface to go into this because people who missed it last week, I really encourage you to go back and listen to the first part, which is on YouTube and Facebook, because we all need better instruction, direction, and strengthening in the area of conflict resolution in our lives. Because I bet if I was able to give the mic to everyone around this table, we each and every one of us have a certain situation or a person, a relationship that's strained right now that could truly use some conflict resolution. Everyone in this table has that. And if you're saying, no, I'm at peace with everyone, that probably means that everyone has conflicts with you. and you don't have any conflicts with anyone because you're kind of unapproachable or something like that. So this hits hard. This hits hard, and it lets you know, right? So last week I started with a personal story that I think it cuts deep. I had an aunt that was going through cancer, and it was pretty aggressive, and the chemo that they were giving her caused her to lose all her hair. So she had to wear, like, she still looked really pretty. She did her best. She wore a thing, like a turban or whatever. Yeah, something around her head. And I was writing to her an email. This is like 2005-ish, 2004, I think. And at that time, I had a salutation on my email that said, "Continue being bold!" exclamation point. And I stole it from Brandon Slay, Olympic gold medalist, that told me that, and I thought it was cool. Continue being bold. So I thought that was clever. Anyway, so she told me about her condition, and I told her I was praying for her, and I sent her the email with the automatic salutation on the bottom, "Continue being bold," because I wanted her to continue being bold. And for a number of years, she didn't talk to me. When her son got married, she didn't invite me to the wedding. So when I made it down to El Paso, I said, "Hey, listen, like, you were like a second mother to me. What's this sudden coldness from? What's it about?" And then she's obviously, first generation Mexican. Her English isn't the best. And she says, "Well, I just got to tell you, like, you really hurt me." And she said, "I have a screenshot." And this is before screenshots existed. Like, she took a picture of the computer. So she literally pulls out a picture of the computer, and she told me, like, when I was going through the hardest time of my life, and I was losing all my hair, and I felt horrible as a woman, you told me to continue being bald. You hurt me. You hurt me so much. And I said, "Auntie, I want to let you know that you're wrong. You're out of order. You should have came to me first to get clarification, because it says continue being bold, which means continue being strong, continue keeping on." So her misinterpretation of what I told her caused a conflict between us. So conflict can happen by many ways, even if it's a misinterpretation, even if someone doesn't mean. I venture to say that most conflict in life isn't necessarily intentional. Life is a little too hard for people to go around causing conflict all the time. I know those people exist, but for the most part, especially among families, it's not like they're trying to, but in this case, she was deeply hurt by me, and because she didn't come to me to address it or to get clarification or to say, "Hey man, that was out of line," it caused years of rift between us. It caused years of pain where I couldn't be at a party, at a celebration of something very important, because of a simple misunderstanding, because someone didn't know how to handle conflict. And eventually I was the one that I said, "I know how to handle conflict," and I think confrontation is an attempt to conserve a relationship. Confrontation is an attempt to conserve a relationship. So I had to confront that in a loving, gentle kind of way to say, "What's going on with this?" And she told me what happened. So I think a lot of us have that story in some way, shape, or form in our lives, and we both are at either side of it at many times in our lives. We might have misunderstood someone, or someone might have misunderstood us. And even on the other side, I venture to say that I've probably said things intentionally and hurt people, and I shouldn't have done that, because I'm a human being and I fall, and that's not nice. So anyway, the origin of conflict, we talked about it in James 4:1. We spoke about that. The conflict root here is the word hedon, is where we get the word hedonism from. And hedonism is a philosophy of life, living basically having yourself as a god. Whatever feels good for me, whatever's convenient for me, whatever's easy for me, whatever I want to do, that's ultimate hedonism. When you live a life that's just about you. And if you read the Bible, it's overall message, it's complete antithesis to hedonism. And it's all about considering others more important than yourself. And then we went into the 5 principles, and I don't remember where we stopped. Does anyone know? I think we stopped on number 4. We talked, well, number 1, I'll just go through it really quick. We talked about self-examination before confrontation. In other words, the Rick James version of the Bible says, "Check yourself before you wreck yourself." That's it's King James. Selena's like, "There's a Rick James version?" Rick James, he says, "Check yourself before you." So self-examination, and we spoke here about, I love this. This is where the Bible is telling us that if there's a brother at the altar, and then it goes on to go beyond us, and it says, if someone has aught against you, not you against someone else. But if you know that you hurt someone, if someone has something against you, it says, leave your offering at the altar and go restore yourself with the brother. And that's beautiful, because Jesus prioritizes relational repair over religious ritual. Let me just say that one more time. I love that. Jesus prioritizes relational repair over religious ritual. And so many times the religious mindset of the Christian that is weak will be the opposite of that. We will prioritize religious ritual and dogma over relational repair. Right? I have people who won't talk to me even because of dogma, because I simply believe different from them. I sent Pastor Dan a video when we were talking about this a few weeks ago, and I thought to myself, I'm thinking, like, who are the closest people in my life? And the closest people in my life, we have some similarities, but we also have some striking, hardcore contrasts. Pastor Dan and I are different in race. He's a Anglo or whatever. I'm Hispanic. We're different in our.
Far from Anglo.
Yeah. Well, he's Native American or whatever. I don't know. He's a white dude, in my, but like for the most part, we tend to gravitate to people that are like us. But in this case, the guy that I appreciate almost most in my life, or definitely sometimes most in my life, he doesn't like the music I like. He's saved, sanctified. Yeah. He's saved, sanctified, and filled with the Holy Ghost. I don't like hip hop. I can't. It's not my thing. I think it's
It's godly.
It's degenerate music. I'm just kidding, but it's just not my thing. I don't like it, right? And I like death metal and all kinds of variations of it, and he dislikes it very much, right?
Except AC/DC.
If we had to sit together, and I didn't even like AC/DC, there you go. So there we go. If we had to sit together and talk about music, we would dislike each other. Yet I can probably appreciate him more than many people in my life. Let me just say this respectfully and very lightly too. I can say that if we probably sit down and write down our doctrines, we might even differ there too. Because I'm a closet Orthodox Christian. And Pastor Dan's more of a charismatic type of dude, and I don't know what he believes in. We both believe in Jesus at the end of the day. We both believe in Jesus. But I literally got kicked out of North American Reformed Seminary because I didn't believe like they did. Right? You don't believe like us, we're going to take your scholarship and you got to leave because I wrote a paper against. Anyway, the point is here, Jesus prioritizes relational repair over religious ritual. So think about it too. Are the people you hang out with the most, are you hanging out with them because they're your yes man? Right. Do they have the wherewithal and relational equity and relational capital to be able to disagree with you? It's kind of sad because a lot of us don't, right? So you ought to think about that. So it's basically having maturity, being awareness, and this is huge right here. I love that second part. Awareness of the wounds you've caused, not just the wounds you received. Because there's so many people who can live and tell you about how much people did to them and how much everyone in the world has done to them, but they can't, for one smidgen of a second, think about how they hurt someone else. And we ought to not be that way. So I don't want to spend more time on it because I can. So we're going to go to the second portion. We spoke about this. I love the way Pablo called it. We talked about go directly, not publicly. Pablo says that when people go to him and tell him about someone or something that's going on, he says he automatically assumes that they're doing the right thing, and he tells them, so you already went to that person, right? That's why you're coming to talk to me now? Amen. And if they haven't, then we can stop it right there and say, hey man, you're out of order. According to the Bible, if there's beef, then you got to go address it with them in a loving way first to see what's going on. And if they don't listen to you, then the Bible instructs us to go get another witness who's a mature person in Christ, and then we can go explain, because maybe that person's going to give you the third view and tell you, hey man, it's actually you who's wrong. And sometimes we can get to a better understanding that way. When there's three people, we can have more wisdom in the multitude of counselors, according to the Bible and Proverbs. So then we go directly, not publicly. And I talked about the situation in my life where everyone in the church knew about a situation that I had hurt someone except for me. How is that, right? It's like when you have bad breath. Everybody knows you smell like a goat except for you. Isn't that weird? But anyway, so we talked about the private, direct conversation. That's the irreducible first step. And I think, honestly, that we ought to live and conduct ourselves in a way where Christ's righteousness rules over our example, to where we can make ourselves open enough for people to approach us. Because I want to be very sensitive here and actually explain that sometimes, just sometimes, some people can't come to us because we aren't very approachable. It's kind of scary. It might intimidate people. Like, how am I even going to approach that, right? But with the advent of the internet and emails, it's pretty cool because you can even talk to someone without them knowing who you are. send them a private or some anonymous email or whatever, right? But the point here is that there's ways to do things privately in a conversation with that person. And I'm very grateful for a few people who have told me and have talked to me. The other day, we were here very late, and a certain gentleman was helping us, and then I was going to take him home. So we were driving home, and he's like, you know what, Fred, I'm really glad that you offered to give me a ride because it gives us a chance to be together for a little bit. And I have to be honest with you, I've held some odd against you for a number of years. And he basically spoke about when we had a transition when Pastor Renee, Chelsea's dad, came over, and I just basically transitioned out, and I, handed the keys over, and I just, bowed out. He said he felt, him and his family felt abandoned, that I could have been better at kind of showing them what was going to happen. And this is the thing, guys. I'm not trying to defend myself, but I truly thought I did. I truly thought I did my due diligence and explained to everyone what was happening. They just required a little more, and I didn't know. And it's hard to live your life making sure like every checkbox is checked on someone's emotional barometer, right? You can't live that way either. But I wish you would have told me right then. Because here we are. How long's your dad been here? 3 years. And then I give a ride home. He's like, hey, by the way, I'm really mad at you because you just abandoned us. I'm like, well, thanks for sticking around, dude. Your dad did the same thing?
No, one of your people talked to me.
Oh, I'm telling you, yeah. Well, there it is. And this is the thing. Sometimes people, family, like, no matter what, like, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Because some other people said that, like, I transitioned too hard. Others that I didn't transition hard enough or whatever. So the point is that we have to keep ourselves malleable to understand that people are different, and just try our best at least, and not say, well, I don't care, they can just do it. That's not mature. That's not mature. That's also me, like, going back to number one, I'm not understanding the wounds that cause people, right? So that's the thing. That's the thing there. So the immature pattern here is tell everyone except the person involved. There's a danger of triangulation that locks parties into positions before dialogue can begin. Because people have come talk to me instead of them first, and they give me their own narrative, and I'm thinking, whoa, that's there. Just the other day, just yesterday, Rev, I was talking to some dude, and I said, I don't really know who you are, I'm sorry. He's like, I used to go to church when it was celebration, and that Pastor Dan, man, I really didn't like that. He was always talking about baseball and Donald Trump, and that's why I don't go anymore. And I was like, you know what? At that time, he was talking about baseball and Donald Trump. so if I didn't know Pastor Dan any better, I would have taken this guy's word, and then I would have created my perspective about him the way others do. So it's important also to see other people's point of views, but see where it comes from too. Because then I get to know this guy, and I see how he is. I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy's gonna get offended by anyone. So it's not Pastor Dan, it's him. So a lot of times you have to understand that if someone's talking to you about someone, there's something behind that besides what that person said that they're talking to you about. Also that causes that soreness. And we ought to be able to have perspicacity and understand that be aware enough to say that there's more factors than what this guy's saying. And that's why it's important to go to that person first, and then if that person's gonna be stubborn about it or whatever and not gonna care, then you go to another person, and maybe that second mediator is gonna tell you. And that's happened to me. That's happened to me. I'll be honest with you. Someone came to me with something. They told me I was wrong. I stood my ground. I pushed back on them. They came back with another person, and they thought the same.
Yes.
I said, does everyone else think the same way? And they all did. I'll tell you a quick anecdote really quick, too. So at the gym that I'm at, a long time ago, Luis asked me to get a certain certification to be able to coach amateur boxers in the corner. You have to have a amateur boxing card from USA Boxing. So I paid the fee, went through the little class, did my background check, did the whole thing, and I got my little card to be an amateur coach. And everybody was excited about boxing and fighting and competing, but we didn't have a cornerman. They had a coach, but they also needed a cornerman, but nobody could fight because of that, so everyone was complaining. So we had a big group text, and I put a picture of my little card when I got it. Hey everyone, we're ready, let's go. Everyone's excited, I'll coach you, I'll be in your corner, let's go. Let me know who wants to get started. Crickets. And I said, what's going on, man? Why isn't anyone excited anymore? Why doesn't anyone want to fight? And Luis, the trainer, told me, hey, man, they all think you're a jerk. Nobody wants you to corner them. They think you're a jerk. And I said, really? Is that so? And I said to myself, well, why do you think I'm a jerk? Because you call them scoundrels when you're training them, and you tell them to do it again as if they weren't a complete retard, and you're really hard on the training part. And I said, well, that's how I was coached. Coach Winter would destroy me, and these little Gen Z kids can't take it, and this and that, whatever. But then they all told me, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe I just have to grow out of it and understand that I can't coach them the way I was coached. Right? So then I stopped calling them scoundrels and swine, and started bums. And I started, but the thing is this, in the same sentence, I said, good job, son. Well, I just called them a swine before. But my point is that I knew that I just had to clean it up a lot more, and then eventually they all started asking me to corner them. And by that time, my license would expire, so I couldn't corner them again. So it's on them. But go directly, not publicly, okay? Biblical example, we saw Absalom. He went to he spent 2 years starting a coalition instead of having a conversation. Man, I didn't even try to do that. That sounded good, huh? He took 2 years trying to start a coalition against his father instead of having one conversation that could have fixed everything. He did 2 years building public sentiment instead of one direct conversation result. I remember Abraham Lincoln said the best way to destroy your enemies is to become their friend. You get to learn so much more about them. And isn't there people like that, you thought they were really mean at first? You don't know how many people have told me now that they get to know my wife. They're saying, at first we thought she was really mean, but now she's such a sweetheart. I said, no, she used to be really mean. I was kidding, anyway.
You were doing so good, bro.
Moving right along. Don't worry about it, don't worry about it. Yeah, number 3. Okay, I'm gonna slow down now. We're gonna start articulating a little bit more now. Okay, so the overview is over. Here we go. Number 3, speak with the goal of restoration, not vindication. That's a good one, right? Can somebody get Matthew 18:15 while we're at it, please? Matthew 18:15, if anyone has it. And this is a huge one too, because this requires a premeditated end result that's gonna not be all about you when you want to talk to someone to resolve things. It's not like I'm gonna go give that guy a piece of my mind and let him know what's up. No, this is like I'm gonna go to this person and we're gonna reason together like Jesus says. Does anyone have Matthew 18:15, please?
If another believer sins against you, go privately and point out the offense. If the other person listens and confesses it, you have won that person back.
That's what I wanted to, that last part is good. And this is Jesus speaking. This is when the person, not the argument, right? Kerdaino is a Greek word that's used there, which is, it comes from the same word I was studying it, where you get that thing you throw to someone when they're drowning. That's literally what it is. The life preserver, yeah. So in this case, when you go to someone, you're trying to save them to save you as well. And it's beautiful because you win the person, not the argument. If we could do that, I think we'd be at a lot better place just in life and in society. I think that's a huge, a beautiful thing that I need to do as well too. Because so many times I just want to prove someone wrong, or like let them know at least that even if I'm not gonna like win, I just want to like at least let them know they're wrong, right? Like, okay, yeah, but you're wrong though. But you're still wrong, right? You can be right. Listen to this, guys. You can be right. This is such a paradox. You can be right and still lose. And you can be wrong and still win. Jesus only cares about which one you recovered. Because what good does it do us to be right but be jerks about everything and not mirror and be like Christ? You know, we reconcile before we worship, as I said earlier, and I think that's paramount in our lives. That's the metric for success, really, is the relationship restored. Now, let me speak on this for a little bit. I understand and I believe that some relationships cannot be restored because there's consequences to things that people do that I think disqualify them for your future, and that's okay. But just because someone's disqualified for your future doesn't mean that their future can't be good either.
Right.
So you just let them have their good future with God. You're not God, I'm not God, so we let them do their thing. So if there's someone in your life that you have to forgive because they hurt you really bad, or a family member or stuff like that, You can forgive them, and it doesn't mean you have to go have Thanksgiving with them. It doesn't, and that's okay. It's still a Christian thing. It doesn't mean you're gonna have to go eat chicken wings with them, but there are some people that do certain things that disqualify them for their future. So what should that tell you? That just as there's people, I'm spitting here, it's the anointing. Just as there's people who are disqualified for your future, listen to me now, you can disqualify yourself from someone else's future as well by the way you act or how you treat them as well. It's a double-edged sword. It can still, you know, so make sure that you're also on top of things, because I think about people that I love or I'm around with, and I say, man, what if I were to do or say something or something would happen to where I couldn't say hello to Chelsea anymore. That would be horrible, right? I don't want to lose her friendship, her sisterhood. I don't want to lose my wife, and I think if we all can think about, if we can live consequentially, and that's the problem I think with a lot of today's society, Gen Z, Gen X, maybe even the baby boomers, everyone. We sometimes don't think about the consequences and what can happen. We don't understand that. We don't realize that this can happen. There's something in sales called the cost of inaction that unfortunately helps people buy stuff more than not. So let's say, for example, you're gonna come to my clinic and buy a weight loss program, and I take your baseline and show you where you're at. I show you where your visceral fat is, how your blood pressure's high, your triglycerides are, your cholesterol, your AC1's out of whack, and I tell you all that, right? And you already knew that, and you kind of don't even care. But then I tell you the cost of inaction. I say, Mr. Customer, we see where you're at. The cost of inaction basically says that if you continue this way, you're likely gonna die. If you continue this way, you're likely not gonna have the quality of life that your kids deserve. If you continue this way, how much more is it gonna cost you not to get started with this, because you're gonna spend more money on insulin, and you can't walk, and then you're gonna die, and then it's gonna be everybody else's problem, and they're gonna have to do a car wash for you. And I'm not gonna be rude like that, but my point is that if you can see the cost of inaction, and you can see the consequences that things cost us, I think that should show us things. Selena's told me, hey man, it's a one strike and you're out rule. If you do this is what's gonna happen. So I already played that picture in my mind, and I don't want to live that. So I step back and I do the right thing. So I think that's a personal responsibility we all have to each other as brothers and sisters in Christ to restore conflict before it even happens. What's the best conflict resolution? Just don't have a conflict, right? And that's impossible, I know, but there's some things that should not ever be conflicts in life. Simply.
Rev, if we can take a peek at a different example. I was going to teach this a few weeks ago, and to be transparent, I bowed out because I ticked somebody off in the church, and I didn't want to teach this message with the intent that I had them in my crosshairs. So I asked Pastor Freddie to teach on this, and he's doing a good job. If I can interrupt just for a brief moment, Acts chapter 15, verse 36. I've grown up in church since I was born, so there's nothing worse to watch petty conflict literally destroy relationships that are meant to do life together. Have you ever been there? Over fixable. We're not talking about moral sin. We're not talking about adultery. We're just talking simply about maybe a difference of a theological construct, or something didn't come across the pulpit the way they liked it, and then there's divorce. How many know that's not cool? And I don't want to give the implication that me, Pastor Freddie, and the teachers are always right. We're human, we're flawed, we're working full-time jobs. But I want to challenge us as a community. The enemy's the divider. And it's forgiveness is the highest form of high love. Would you agree with that? It's the greatest form of love, forgiving and bearing one another burdens. But Pastor Freddie's taught on this, and I kind of dived and nerded out on this. Pastor Freddie, Acts 15, 36, 41. He's taught on it with the breakup of John Mark and Apostle Paul. You guys remember that story? Mm-hmm. And just to this point right here, because here, there's not a moral failure. There's not grave sin. It's just a difference of seasons of life. Maybe Paul in this moment, so just to get the picture for those that are newer, this is the great apostle doing missionary trips. One of his partners gets gassed out and just simply says he doesn't want to go to the next season. Apostle Paul gets so ticked off, he literally divorces this guy. You guys there? It says, then after some days, Paul said to Barnabas, let's now go back to visit our brethren in every city where we have preached the word of the Lord to see how you are doing. Now Barnabas was determined to take with him John called Mark, but Paul insisted that they should not take them, the one who had departed from whatever that says, and had not gone on them. So what he's referencing, you got to go back to get the context. John Mark had already not gone one time. Paul's still holding on to this bitterness. He's not resolving the issue. He said the contention became so sharp that they parted from one another, and so Barnabas took Mark and sailed to Cyprus, but Paul chose Silas and departed, being commended by the brethren to the grace of God. And I think Pastor Freddie spoke on this years ago, and he mentioned, and I'm not trying to fact check him, but for the rest of that ministry, for the most part, instead of Paul and Barnabas, it was Paul and whom? Silas. The duo changed. But here's where I slipped and didn't know. How many know who John Mark is? That's what's crazy. He wrote the Gospel of Mark. And then the time frame of this breakup, if you look up some of the stuff, was potentially 2 to 4 years over some dude just simply saying, hey, I'm gassed. I need a break. I need a timeout. Maybe I need to go see my wife. We don't have the deep context of it, but instead of Paul just having a little grace moment, he went dogmatic, he went hard, and he broke up with this kid. And then if you fast forward to 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 11, Paul, now at the end of life, he says, only Luke is with me. Get Mark and bring him with you, for he is useful to me in ministry. I pray that we keep that posture. I'm not saying John Mark was wrong. I'm not saying Apostle Paul was wrong, but to Pastor Freddie's teaching and coaching right here, that shouldn't have been a breakup. They could have got more done for the kingdom of God, and that was 2 to 4 years wasted of energy and having odd against one another. Here's the good part. God still used him greatly.
Amen.
John Mark wrote one of the Gospels. No, he wasn't one of the disciples. But I think it's a better way, and this is why I appreciate this team. We've been through the good, bad, and ugly. At the end of the day, we're going to fight, but at the end of the day, we're going to forgive. Amen. And that's the highest level we should be taking it.
I love that. And I think we ought to, with our closest relationships that we can do this with, where it is appropriate, we ought to be able to have a conversation and tell each other, hey, no matter how bad it gets, just know that I'm always going to try to fix it, and we're never going to get divorced. My wife has told me that many times. Like, I'm willing to fight as much as I have for you. And it makes me feel good, because I'm not walking on eggshells, not thinking this and that and the other, and I know that we can reconcile. So I heard this in my heart one time when I was fighting the wrong way. God in my spirit told me, how you fight reveals who you actually worship. Okay? How you fight reveals who you actually worship. And then I started thinking about things I was doing, and I was realizing I was fighting for the dumbest things, for my ego, for my pride, because someone said something that didn't rub me the right way. And at the end of the day, I'm not God. Who cares? The world doesn't revolve around me. It revolves around the sun, and the sun revolves around me. I'm just kidding. But anyway, when we have immature things like that, where we can't go to people, and there's another extreme too. Some people might not tell anyone, which is just as bad, because you have silence, and then you're just rotting with that anger inside of you, and it gets even worse. Silence, family, isn't peace. It's just conflict with a disguise. So that's all it is. It's a horrible disguise.
It's a cold war.
Yeah, it's cold. Silence isn't peace. It's conflict with a disguise. And it's a dumb disguise. It's like that. You remember that disguise that has like a glasses with the nose and the mustache? That's how corny it is, because you know someone's mad and they're always quiet around you. And sometimes, like, it's weird. Let me just tell you guys, you don't have to be Ned Flanders, but examine yourself every day and say, like, especially when you come to church, right? Is my countenance showing what I'm supposed to show? Because some people, I come to church, I'm like, man, I don't know if they're mad at me, or they're just mad at the world, or if that's just, I don't know, So I'll just leave them alone.
I think just to balance this too, not knowing the context of the gentleman that came to you, I think sometimes those are just moments that, hey, we just put that under the blood We don't need to go say, hey, you ticked me off 6 months ago at 7 o'clock at night. Sometimes that's just an unrenewed thought. And there's other times I think that maybe you need to go because you're harboring, you're losing sleep over it, but don't take this teaching as an opportunity like, man, I'm just gonna blast the shotgun at everybody that's ticked me off.
Yeah, there's a Spanish psalmist. She's not a psalmist. She's a Spanish secular artist. Her name is Paquita la del Barrio, and her songs are just brutally bitter and angry against men. Yeah, they're intense, man, but they're really good songs. But like she says, rata inmunda, like she calls men rats and all that stuff. And then one time they interviewed her, and they said like, where do you get this anger from? She's like, well, you know, it comes from a personal thing that happened to me. My husband, I caught him in bed with my own sister one time, and I get all this information that just blast him. And then the reporter goes, really? And this is like in 2014. And she goes, really, when did that happen? She's like, oh, it was in 1958.
Wow.
So you got 40 years and you're still angry and destroying your own life that way. We're speak with the goal of restoration, not vindication. So again, what does that have to do? Like, you know, and to Pastor's point, that gentleman that told me what he told me, I don't want to judge his heart or whatever, but I'm hoping that he was doing it for restoration, so he could be nicer and closer to me, than for just to let you know, you hurt me and this and that. I'm like, oh, well, that hurt me even more now that I know it's been for years and you never came to me before. I see you every freaking weekend. Like, why couldn't you talk to me before? But the point is that we're all learning, and even conflict resolution takes some practice. And at least I'm going to give him an A for effort. And I love him to death, and he's still my homie, and I wouldn't change anything I think about him because he's the best. Anyway, so regulate before you respond. That's a big one, huh? If someone can give Proverbs 15:1, and another person Proverbs 17:27.
Proverbs 15:1.
Yes, ma'am.
A soft answer turns away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger.
Nice. I gave that example last time, right? When I was at Disneyland and I went into the elevator with the person, and that person, it was really, really packed, and that person backed into it with their backpack, and then the girl behind her says, "Don't touch me," and that person says, "I'm not gonna touch you," and the little girl's like, "I'm talking to my brother," because siblings don't like to touch each other or whatever. And then I just felt really bad for the person. Like, man, she just put her foot in her mouth. And I was talking to Selena about it, and then a few minutes later, I go downstairs, and same situation. And it's so weird how the Lord taught me, and he showed me. A guy comes in at the same time, and he does the same thing, and a person says something to the effect of, "Don't touch me," and the guy immediately just folded, "Oh, I'm really sorry, pardon me, I just got," "Oh, no, I'm not even talking to you, it's okay, don't worry about it, brother." So they both were out apologizing each other. It was beautiful, right? Because they were being so nice about it and everything like that. Yesterday, I went for a Starbucks run, and there's two young ladies working with me at the moment. There's an intern that's working for free, and the young lady we hired. And I was gonna go to Starbucks. I said, man, if I come back with a Starbucks, they're both gonna look at me, and it's not gonna be nice.
Do it anyway.
So I said, "Excuse me, young lady, the boss is gonna go to Starbucks. Would you guys like something?" And like, "Oh yeah, I'd like this, please." And another one, because Dr. DeBry gave me a card, a Starbucks card. So I had a Starbucks card that I could, waste on them and not use my own money, but they didn't know that. Anyway, so I ordered the drink, and one of the girls was texting me whatever her complicated order was, and I guess I didn't say it right, because when I saw it, I said, "I don't think this is what she wanted," and I read matcha, and they gave her some other thing or whatever. I guess so, yeah. And I was really nice. I said, "Excuse me, young lady, I'm sorry. It was probably me. I don't know what this is called, but is this what that thing is?" And she read it. She's like, "No, that's totally not it." She's like, "Don't even worry about it. I'll make you a new one, and you can keep that one too." And it was nice.
Okay.
So she gave me a free one. And at that same time, God teaches me these things. It's so weird. This lady comes in, storming in from the drive-through. "Well, I got my order wrong. Yada 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 yada. All this crazy." And they're like, "Oh, we're sorry, whatever." And then they took her thing and they fixed it. They didn't even make her a new one. They didn't even make her a new one. And then she left, and I'm like, man. And I asked her lady, I was like, "Why did you give me a new one?" She says, "Because you were nice." I'm like, so regulate before you respond. If I would have been like, "I know you got a peasant job, it's not my fault, so can you please do this right?" How's it gonna make me look as a Christian, right?
Side note, guys, I paid my way through college being a waiter. Don't take off the cook.
Amen.
I've seen loogies, I've seen it all.
Yes.
Chicken breast on the
Yes.
ground with work boots stomped on it, back
Yes.
on the oven.
Yes.
You better be sweet. If you're not godly, just know
Never
things
send it
happen in
back.
the kitchen
Taste
that
the
you've
booger
never
flavor.
imagined.
Don't send it back.
Okay?
Taste the booger flavor.
You better be sweet.
Watch that movie Road
You know,
Trip.
and you know, remember we went to what Mediterranean Greek Cafe? What's it called? Market Grill Cafe. I love that place, right? But we had a waiter that wasn't the best, and then something really weird happened to where like she was talking to us and stuff, and then she's doing all this number when she's talking, and I don't know what happened, but she had a big hoop earring. The hoop earring flew off her ear, boop, right on her chicken, and I'm like, and it fell on the side part there. And then it was pretty busy. It was like at 5, and you know she was all stressed out. But the lady says, "Oh, I'm sorry." She puts her hand in there, takes it out, cleans it off, and puts it back in her ear. It walks off. I'm like, okay, well, she didn't really offer us any resolution. And I could have been right. I could have been right to just say, hey, I'm sorry, like your earring fell on my thing. Can you give me another one, please? But I saw exactly where it landed, so I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna take one for the team. I said, give me your plate. I'll throw this piece of chicken out that was contaminated, and I'll just eat it because it is what it is. And I got mad though. I was angry that I had to do that because I didn't want to talk to the guy and this and that or make her feel. It was really for her. I didn't want her to feel bad.
Right.
That's how much I cared about the situation.
That's what happens
And
when someone grace.
and I'm not saying I'm a great guy because I ate that and I was so angry, like it hurt my stomach at the end. And I was mad. I'm like, I'm over here, and then the tip come out. I'm like, her tip's gonna reflect it. Just watch. And I couldn't get myself to tip her less money. And I said, you know what? I remembered Alexander the Great, one of the greatest conquerors of the Roman Empire, was going through the wilderness with his caravan one time. True story. It's a legend. Going through the wilderness with his caravan right now one time, and they saw a guy like in the middle of the desert, like on the floor, almost dead. And they go up to him, and then they see who it is. He says, "What do you want?" He's like, "I want water and whatever I can, whatever the great Alexander the Great can give me." So he gave him water, and he got his treasure, and he had the treasure give him enough to establish an entire life. And then one of the generals told Alexander the Great, "Do you know who that was? He's out here because he was one of your dudes who betrayed you, and you banished him, and that's why he's out there.
Yes.
And you gave him all this money. Why would you do that?" And then he says, "I didn't give him money because of who he is. I gave him money because I'm Alexander the Great." Like I'm at such a high level and frequency that I can't even go down and act that way with him. So I try to be Alexander the Great, but it still hurt my stomach. Anyway, so I said to him, so then after that, we go to the store that's across the street to get Daniel's shorts and stuff. It's called TJ Maxx. And I walked in there, and the first thing the dude, there's a security guard who's standing there, and he's like, "Hey, how you doing?" I could tell he's really tired. And it was like, by this time it's like 6, 7 o'clock. And we're just walking around, and I go to the restroom, and I hear him in the restroom. He's on the phone. He's like, "Hey, love, yeah, I'm almost off. I'm eavesdropping." And he's saying, "It's this extra shift is getting to me, man. I've been here since like we opened." So the dude's been there since 8 in the morning, and it's 6 p.m. and he's on his feet and he's standing there, and his job is so bummy. He's like, "Yeah, with the extra $2.50 an hour I'm getting, maybe we can pay off this other credit card and this." So he's thinking about all this stuff, and I'm thinking like his check probably sucks even if he's doing overtime, and he's standing on his feet, and his job is horrible, and he's doing this to pay off a credit card, and he's still calling his wife, and he's miserable. And I just had a dinner, and I'm complaining about some mishap. So
Did you make it rain in the stall, right?
no, I didn't tell him anything, but I said my life is good, right? So God gives me perspective, and I said, you know what? The chick had a wrong time. Her urine fell out. Maybe I could have taught her. Maybe I said, "Hey, listen, if that ever happens again, you might not get a guy who's nice as me, and they might make a big deal out of it. So make sure that you take the plate back because it's going to be weird." But I didn't have the testicular fortitude to tell her that. But I don't know what that has to do with regulate before you respond. Oh yeah, so it has to do with being of cool spirits. And I just did it. I didn't blow up on her, and I did. I didn't do that, and I've done that before too. I've been the jerk also, and I'm sorry. Does someone have a Proverbs 17:27, please?
A truly wise person uses few words. A person with understanding is even tempered.
One more time, please.
The 27?
Yes, please.
A truly wise person uses few words. A person with understanding is even tempered.
Even tempered, isn't that something? And you know what happens too? You might not even know this, but when you get through something and you get that weird, and we were at a, I thought to myself, that's so weird. Like we were at some Thai place one time, and we took up the whole table, and then some like foreigners came and sat at the other place. Remember, Rev? And then the waiter is taking our order, and then this guy's like, hey, what the hell? You know, you gotta take all the order first. And then the guy says yes because they were here first, so we gotta take their order. So the guy gets up to leave, and immediately Pastor Dan says, hey, don't worry about it. Go ahead and take care of him. Right? Because we're Alexander the Great. we're trying to like resolve conflict, de-escalate, right? Just go ahead and he's an adult baby. Like, go ahead and give him his bottle.
The guy's like 60 too.
Yeah, go ahead and give the adult baby his bottle. And I thought to myself, man, that guy looks so ridiculous. And his wife was so embarrassed. Some young kid with them, he was so embarrassed, right? And they're all walking out. And I'm thinking to myself, like, that guy's whole day is probably going to be ruined. At least 4 or 5 hours. You have this, the world calls it karmic debt. When you're mean to someone, you know inside yourself you did wrong. You know you were stupid about it. Why? Because you can't rise to the occasion and be like, okay, well, I came in right before them. It is what it is. You know, I can just wait. Maybe it'll be better when they get my food. I don't know.
I gotta say, I learned something from that elder though, because he was so stuck on us.
Yeah.
We almost go there every Sunday, and it was almost like he didn't get his body language didn't change. It was like, nope, you guys are my regulars. You're faithful. You're loyal. I don't got time for this baby stuff over here, because that's not what I want.
He's like, I don't even care if I lose him.
No, it was like, I learned a lot in that moment, because he wasn't freaking out. Just thank you, God bless you, get on out of here. You know, it was an interesting moment.
He taught me too, because he's like, he goes, so that he knows, because he's a Thai, so that he with his accent, so that he needs to learn. I'm like, all right, cool, dude. So the cool of spirit, I love that, korach. And I've seen like so many Christians fail at this part here. They're so hot-headed, they're so rude. Like, as soon as one little thing doesn't go their way, the world is ending. Right? And then here we have some pagan Buddhist guy who's, another thing I can't tell you right now, teaching us as Christians, this is how you act when someone's being a jerk in your business. And he literally lost money because he stood on principle. And that's a beautiful thing that the world teaches that. So check yourself and examine yourself. Right? Feel the emotion without being governed by it. How about that? That's a big one. It's possible to feel the emotion without being governed by it. Yeah, you can be mad without being governed by being mad. You can be sad without being governed by the sadness. In psychology, Goldman's amygdala hijack, that's when the amygdala part of your brain is so flooded that reasoning and empathy go offline. And you lose control of yourself. You know what that is, family? Demon oppression, almost demon possession. Science calls it amygdala hijack. But when you're at a point to where you can't even, when you black out and you can't even reason, and you don't care, and you just want to hit someone, and you just want to, destroy someone or do this and that. And I've been there. I've punched holes in the walls before. I've done stupid things like that where I just can't reason. Amygdala hijack, or is a demon just having his way with you? Right? Heated conversations, family, almost never resolve anything. That's why you just should fight and duke it out. I'm just kidding. So build in regulation. Pause, breathe, break. Another thing that he actually got it from Marcus Aurelius, Abraham Lincoln. He said he wrote this really heated letter to this guy, telling him how he was horrible and how he was a scoundrel and how he was wrong and how he did all this. And then he said he wrote it, and then he decided to throw it in the fireplace. And then he felt a lot better. And when he actually saw him, he was able to talk to that person and understand that everything wrong he was doing in response to some trauma. And he had some compassion and he understood him. And I think we sometimes don't have the ability to see anyone else's trauma but ours. But real maturity and Christ-like attitudes actually require us to do that. Number 5, listen to understand, not to respond. That's a big one too, right? Listen to understand, not to respond. James 1:19, does someone have that?
Understand this, my dear brothers and sisters, you must be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry.
That's a big one for me.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I'm kind of slow to get angry, but I'm really quick to respond. You know, I'm bam, 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 and I want to show things. I was telling Pastor Dan yesterday that I've had a really rough relationship with the owner of the company I'm working for, because he's so busy, and I tell him things, and I email him things, and I text him things, and he just never gets to them. And then he checks me on certain things and says this has to be done, whatever, or why is this done this way? And I told him, well, actually, that's done that way because we had a conversation about it. I emailed you and I texted you and we talked about it. And then he texts me back. He says, we've never discussed this. So what do? I go and I take screenshots of the text and the emails, and I send it to him. I'm like, yes, we have discussed them. Bam, I give him proof. And then he responds to me. He says to me,
Those screenshots are necessary.
screenshots are not necessary. And in my mind, I'm like, yes, they are, because you're not doing it. I'm like, I want to go back. And then he says, why don't you just come to my house tomorrow at 8 p.m.? I'm like, oh my gosh. Because that's when he's done with surgery. So I go to his massive house, beautiful house, and I'm able to talk to him there. And I realized, like, I think I took a position with him that I wasn't supposed to. And screenshots aren't necessary because at the end of the day, he's still paying me, and he's doing this. But I have to say, okay, please help me understand what type of system we have to put in place to accommodate your busy lifestyle, so that you can actually see that I'm sending you this stuff, because I don't want to have to send you text messages or screenshots and disrespect you like that. I mean, that's not my intent. What do I have to do then?
What was his response to that, Rev? And we discussed this, by the way.
Yeah,
This is-
him and I talked about it, and because I vented to him, and he told me, and and his response was dumb, like, just keep trying me. I'm like, all right, whatever. So he had no response. He had no resolution, but at least he knows that I wasn't trying to do. I said, how about we do this? I said, so I suggested this. I said, how about we do this? I know you're off of surgeries at 8 p.m. at 7. I'm willing to take my evenings on Thursday or Wednesday or Tuesday, whenever. Yeah, it was Tuesday. And come by every Tuesday night, apart from our Monday night, apart from our Friday night call. I'll be here in person, showing you on the computer, everything like that. Because I'm putting the chips on the table, and he's like, nah, I don't want to do all that either. So I said, well, you gotta bend, dude. Come on now. So it shows that sometimes you can offer people the world, and they still just want to see it burn. But you just gotta dust off your feet and say yes, boss. Because at the end of the day, I still get that. I can't tell you how much I make because you'll be jealous, but I still get that good check. So quick to listen comes first. The order is intentional. Watch that now. Quick to listen. Ain't that something? How many ears do we have?
2.
How many eyes do we have?
2.
How many nostrils do we have?
2.
God gave us twice the power to observe, to hear, to smell, to see, and one mouth. But we often talk twice as much as we listen. We talk twice as much as we see. We talk twice as much as we observe, even with our nostrils or we can smell. Can you smell what the rock is cooking? You ought to be able to know what's going on. God gave us more to intake than to take out, but we use it though. It's a divine design of how God made us. We got 2 ears and 1 mouth, but sometimes we act like we have no ears and 2 mouths. So be quick to listen. Order is intentional. Mature example, Jonathan in 1 Samuel chapter 20. He stayed curious before taking the position, and the result was covenant friendship. An immature example is Nabal in 1 Samuel 25. He dismissed without listening, nearly costing him his entire household. Section number 3. How immature people, we're almost done, I'm sorry guys, we got 5 minutes. How immature people handle conflict. Here we go. How immature people handle conflict. The common root here is going to be the inability to tolerate discomfort in a relationship. Listen to that, please. The inability to tolerate discomfort in a relationship. That is going back to hedonism and self-worship. The inability to tolerate discomfort in a relationship. When you can master tolerating discomfort in relationships, you'll have the best relationships. Because no one's as perfect as you are. You have to understand that every relationship has that type of discomfort here and there. There's an explosion here. There's no emotional vocabulary. Intensity is the only language available when they're hurt. Some people, if they're mad, everybody knows. And I've heard a lady say this, by the way. It was a lady, let me just say it one more time. It was a what? Lady who said this. She said, the dumbest thing in the world is the saying that says, happy wife, happy life.
Yeah.
Because that's just like saying, okay, well, if she's not happy, the whole house knows nothing goes right. To happy wife, happy life, I say crappy wife, crappy life too. right? So we ought to be people that even in, my wife teaches me this, because she tells me, and I don't think so, but she tells me, so it must be right. Like if I'm mad, like the house knows. Or if I had a rough day at work, or something's not going on, or this isn't going right, I'm snappy maybe, or I'm just maybe too quiet or whatever, I seem to close the refrigerator door a little too hard, or something goes on. Like if the ketchup is dangling inside there, you can hear it, something's wrong. So my point is, like, they go back to the other one. Feel the emotion. Allow yourself to feel the emotion without being governed by it. Emotions are feelings on the inside that move us on the outside, but they shouldn't. You can have emotions and still stand in a poised position, and then just chill. Just learn to do that, and it comes by practice. If you could just think about things before you say them, if you could just take 1 second before you respond, if you could just, and I've had that happen a few times, like where I got some email and I'm ready to destroy this person. But I'm like, you know what, let me just give it 10 minutes. And by that time, the fuel is gone, and I can come back a little bit more objectively. So this releases internal pressure. Some people release internal pressure, but it detonates in a relationship. You can snap at someone, but you're going to destroy your relationship. You're going to end up hurting them. That's when you explode, okay? Some people are like that. Some people implode. That's a stonewalling effect. They go completely silent, like I said earlier. The silent treatment, that's not peace. That's almost sometimes worse. At least I know you're mad, so I'll just leave you alone if you're blowing up. But if you're quiet, I don't even know how to approach. I don't know what's going on. They go completely silent. They disappear emotionally. They're not connected. And all these little stupid things, family, they open the doors for the enemy to come in and have a ball with your life. And send you people that you think do listen to you. And send you things, this, that, and the other. It's like it's not like that. It's what you see. It's your illusion of the control you think you're losing. The psychological portion here talks about the 4 horsemen of relational destruction, which has to do with being quiet, has to do with being emotionally absent, which has to do with the third one of exploding if you don't have an ability to govern yourself in your relationships, and the last one is you think it's permanent. So listen to this. It's all with peace. When there's a problem and you're immature, you think the problem, number one, is personal. Only you're going through it. Nobody cares about it. It's personal. It's only me. They're doing it against me. Everyone's against me. Everyone hates me. Nobody understands me. It's personal, personal, personal. Number 2, with the P, it's pervasive. It goes through everything. It's not just this. It's also work. It's also this. And I'm the heavyweight champion of thinking that way. If I think something's going wrong at the gym, it's going wrong at home, it's going wrong at the school, it's going wrong at church, it's pervasive all the way around. Number 3 is what? You think it's permanent. It's never going to change. This is the end. I might as well kill myself. This is horrible. What's the most painless way to kill yourself? Sitting in the garage with the car on, because you'll just asphyxiate and you won't know. You start thinking, researching dumb things like that because you think it's permanent, pervasive, and personal. When it's not even like that. It's just a little temporary thing, and it will likely get better because God is good. So implosion feels like self-control, but it functions like abandonment. And there's nothing noble about abandoning anything but addictions. But if you're abandoning the situation that you're supposed to fix with your wife or with your husband or with your children or with someone at church, this is cowardice at its highest form. And you start thinking about it. Like I talked to this person who left, not this church, but the church he was at. I promise I'm not just making that up. I'm not talking about anyone you're thinking about, some person nobody here knows. And this person left that church. And I started talking to him, and then he started saying, well, they were doing this, and at that other church I was so at, they were doing something similar, and at the other church they were doing this. I said, dude, you've left every church you've ever been in all your life. Maybe it's you who have the problem, and not these churches. And he actually was able to think about it and realize that, you know what? It's already 8. We're out of time. I'm sorry. We'll continue this later. Did anyone learn anything? Yeah, maybe it's Pastor Paul. Anyway, family, I hope this blessed you and got to you. If we're out of time, let me know, guys. I'm sorry. So may the Lord's face shine upon you, be gracious to you, and bring you peace. We'll continue with this. We're almost done with it next week. And I love you guys so much. Have a good day, and go resolve some conflict.
Love you guys. Great job.